A massive thank you to Jero for sponsoring this video on Patreon. Karlov of the Ghost Council versus Aminatou the Fateshifter. Signing Blood makes that keepable, I think. Don't mind Auriok Champion either, so we'll hit keep. And then it is a Vampiric Tutor. I think we'll go in for Auriok Champion. Give ourselves another turn to draw into a land. We could always go for Urborg with the Vampiric Tutor and then play our Karlov anyway next turn, and then we've definitely got a land for the Necropotents. But I don't mind relying on Signing Blood for another land. We'll save Vampiric Tutor for something that's more impactful than that. And it's a Fellwar Stone from our opponent. We are fixing their black mana currently. Let's drop our... We want to keep making lands, really, don't we? No, I think we can take a turn off with lands. Let's go for Karlov, which will gain us a life with Auriok Champion. And we'll immediately get a couple of plus counters on there. Swing in for one and pass. Phyrexian Revoker will most likely name our commander. And they do name our commander. Pretty much just using this as a big beat stick. I don't often remove the counters from it. The game doesn't normally last that long. So I'm not too worried about that. Now we could go for the land play. I think I'd like to go Signing Blood this turn though. And there's an Arcane Signet, so... yeah, being hurt by the lands, unfortunately. Might have to go for the Urborg with Vamp Tutor. We'll try our luck here. And there's a Crystal Vein. Do we just drop that to get down the Arcane Signet? I don't really see much point in that. We'll just go for Vamp Tutor at the end of the turn, potentially. Let's offer up the trade with the Auriok Champion because we do have Suture Priest in hand. And they just decide to chump the big Karlov. So it might be that they're going for a board wipe here. And that might dictate what we go for with Vamp Tutor. Could go for Phyrexian Reclamation, I think it's called. The enchantment that grabs creatures back from the bin. And there we are, there's a time wipe. Yeah, so we'll put our Karlov in the graveyard. And then we'll go Vamp Tutor. And I think we're alright to just go for the Phyrexian Reclamation, like I said. So obviously drawing into that this turn. Let's throw out the Crystal Vein. We'll get down the Arcane Signet. And then it's Phyrexian Reclamation. We can save the Karlov play for next turn because we can't bring it back to our hand and play it this turn anyway. So let's go Suture Priest. In fact, if we get into a land next turn, we could think about going for Crypt Gas first because this is a mana doubler for our swamps. And there is Aminatou the Fateshifter. Deciding to plus on that. And it's in for Detention Sphere. That feels bad, so... yeah, maybe should have gone for the Karlov where we had the chance. We just rip into Urborg anyway, so... that encourages me to go for... oh, they actually went for Arcane Signet. I thought they were definitely going for Phyrexian Reclamation there. Alright. So in that case, let's go like that. We'll grab our Karlov back. Play the Karlov. And again, it will immediately become a 4-4. Then we'll swing in at Aminatou for 1. And it's Gilded Lotus now. Really ramping ahead of us. Just have to hope that they don't have anything to actually do with the mana. Noteworthy that our Urborg fixes their black mana as well. And there's another board wipe, so I'm assuming that this is... I'm assuming we're going to see a lot of board wipes in this deck. Might be Super Friends. Yeah, we'll just have our Karlov not go into the command zone again. And again, not going after the Detention Sphere with the flicker effect. Deciding to untap their Gilded Lotus, so they might have another answer for this. Chittering Rats is going to have us discard a card, so let's go for Teferi's Protection. Don't seem to have a surplus of mana yet. Oh, we don't discard it, do we just put it on top? Yeah, that's just a way of ruining our hand, okay. Let's go for Necropotence here then, and we can do something about this card draw. Then we'll hold up the Phyrexian Reclamation, I think, for if they decide to get rid of Phyrexian Reclamation. Just filling our hand up to 7 at the end of the turn. And managed to get into a couple of lands and a land tax. There's Bolas's Citadel. Our opponent might have been able to control the game for just long enough to go off. They get a land off the top. And hopefully it's just another land on top. Exiling the Detention Sphere, probably to get rid of Necropotence. We'll see what they aim for. We'll get our Arcane Signet back. Yep, going after Necropotence. So let's sink a bit of life into this. We'll draw a card at the beginning of the turn, and we'll get some cards into our hand at the end of our next turn as well. Just give us a little bit of card filtering here. So we'll just go down to 16 life. That gets exiled, and like I said, we get the Arcane Signet back. Then a Glasspool Mimic will copy their Chittering Rat. So we know what we're drawing into next turn. We could go for the Teferi's Protection, but I'm not all that bothered, I don't think. I don't see what we can draw into that'll dig us out of this hole. So let's just throw the Polluted Delta on top. And then at the end of our opponent's turn, we will go for the Phyrexian Reclamation, grab our Karlov back again. And it might be worth going for the land tax so that we can start shuffling with the Chittering Witch effects. Yeah, let's see here. We can definitely go Polluted Delta. And then if we go Crystal Vein for 2 mana, tap down Urborg, and the Arcane Signet, go for Cryptghast. That will give us 8 mana to play with. We go Karlov by tapping down 1 land. Not going to pay the Extort here, because Karlov isn't in play yet. What we can do though is go for land tax. And we'll say yes to the Extort there, which will put plus counters on Karlov. And then why not go for the Orzhov Signet as well. And I'm not going to Extort this time so that we can hold up the Phyrexian Reclamation and a shuffle with Polluted Delta if we're desperate against the Chittering Rats. This also allows us to hold up Teferi's Protection as well. Yeah, so let's draw into those cards with the Necropotence at the end of the turn. And there is some life gain from a couple of lands. Mother of Runes, Talisman of Hierarchy. We've got some black creatures in the way, so I don't think Shizo is going to be relevant. We'll exile that. Oh, actually discard, because Necropotence isn't in play anymore. Getting into a Soul Sister is nice. Halimar Depths will have our opponent reorganise the top 3. And they can potentially do some damage with Aminatou. Well, it's really more the Bolas's Citadel that we need to be worried about here, isn't it? Okay, Corpse Knight. That smells like some kind of combo to me. And then getting rid of the Aminatou by exiling the Glasspool Mimic, which no doubt wants to come in as a copy of the Corpse Knight. So 2 Corpse Knights in play now. Then Aminatou coming straight into play again. And they're going for the Chittering Rats flicker again. Not really bothered about that. We'll put the Talisman of Hierarchy on top, I think. We'll lose 2 life to the Corpse Knight. Put Talisman of Hierarchy on top, and we will make use of land tax at the beginning of our turn. So there is the land tax trigger. Grab ourselves, I think we can just go all plains here because we've got the Urborg. So let's start dragging basics out of our library. And as usual, whenever you do the thing with land tax, you end up into another basic. I think we can just go for the life here. Yeah, let's go Radiant Fountain, which will gain us a couple of life, which is going to be relevant against the Corpse Knight, seemingly. Then it can be a Soul's Attendant, and I think we can pay the Extort on that. Then we'll go for Mother of Runes. And again, we'll pay the Extort. Then Mother of Runes enters, gains us a life, and we're getting a massive Karlov at this point. So we'll go for Lingering Souls and pay the extort yet again. So getting a huge Karlov. I think we can consider removing some counters from Karlov next turn, so let's just go straight in at our opponent, forcing them, well, not forcing them, but encouraging them to block. And they do block with a Corpse Knight, 1 card left in hand. So if we want to go for Teferi's Protection, we'll hold up these two, hold this up for the Phyrexian Reclamation, although do we need it if we've got Teferi's Protection held up? I think we just want more tokens in play at this point. Say no to the extort this time. And just like that, we are straight back up to 22 points of life. And we've got a 22-22 commander. Just need to be able to get it through at this point. Probably remove some counters from it at the end of our opponent's turn, depending on what they do here. Luckily, they haven't gone off with that Bolas's Citadel. Okay, there's Lavinia the 10th. Well, let's see what they want to target with that first, just out of curiosity. And we'll also gain life, thanks to not phasing out yet. Oh, it doesn't target, it's each non-land permanent. Alright, well, in that case, we'll just go straight in for the Teferi's Protection, because we do want to keep swinging in. The longer that Bolas's Citadel stays in play, the worse it's potentially going to be for us. We will pay the extort, because there's nothing else we're doing with our mana. And all of our stuff manages to phase out. So Lavinia won't affect us. Then they go for the Halimar Depths being flickered with the Aminatou. We'll deal with Aminatou with a Flying Spirit next turn. And thanks to Mother of Runes, we can probably get our commander through next turn if we give protection from black. If we give protection from black to the Karlov, we can exile the Lavinia with his ability. And hopefully that will send us through for lethal damage. There's an Agent of Treachery. I don't know if that does anything while we're phased out. Gain control of a target permanent. So they can just target their own permanent, but that obviously doesn't do anything. It does introduce another blue creature though, which might have been the only reason they did that. They can obviously see the Mother of Runes on our side of the field. Let's drag some more basics out of the library here. Alright, Silverblade Paladin is just a bit win more at this point. It does give us some more counters though. Let's throw out... I don't know if we're going to need some life from the Sanctuary, so I'm not going to decide on playing a land yet. Remove 6 counters, get rid of Agent of Treachery. Do the same again on Lavinia. And then, yeah, I think we just get through for lethal here. Let's give our Karlov protection from black. Our opponent's still got 2 cards in hand, so they could do something here. So we'll just play the land to gain a life. Now let's see if they've got anything for us. We'll go straight in at our opponent. They can't block. And our opponent graciously takes it. So, yeah, pretty sketchy one for us that. That was pretty slow in the early game. And I think we just hit lucky off of the Bolas's Citadel. We could have had our commander taken away from us if they'd gone Detention Sphere onto the Phyrexian Reclamation. We probably would have gotten it back, because I imagine they would have gone for Necropotence once we played that anyway. And yeah, all that while we would have had more mana in Arcane Signet, so might have played out similarly anyway, but we would have had our commander stuck in the graveyard for quite a while there, had they not have given that back to us. Yeah, a fun revisit to Karlov of the Ghost Council. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you did. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.